Okay, I'd like to open up the public hearing on the budget, please. If I could have everyone return to their seats. All right, is everybody here?
Yes.
We're all here.
We're all here. I mean, we're here. Other people.
Okay, I'm now going to open the public hearing on the budget. Article 3, operating budget. Shall the voters of Hampstead School District raise and appropriate as an operating budget, not including appropriations by special warrant articles and other appropriations voted separately, the amount set forth on the budget posted with the warrant for the purposes set forth therein, totaling $27,801,104. Should this article be defeated, the operating budget shall be $27,831,629, which is the same as last year, with certain adjustments required by previous action of the Hampstead School District or by law, or the governing body may hold one special meeting in accordance with RSA 40:13, Roman numeral X and XVI, to take up the issue of a revised operating budget only. Note, warrant Article 3, operating budget, does not include appropriations proposed under any other warrant articles. Majority vote is required. I'm going to ask Mr. Vice Chair Cipriano to please continue with the budget presentation overview.
Thank you. Thank you, Mrs. Yusenka. So I'll be going through the budget presentation overview. For those that have attended this meeting or watched it in years past, I'm going to follow the standard format that we've sort of developed, which is to say that I'm going to go through the budget drivers and projected enrollments for the district. I'll talk about budget changes by department. I'll try to highlight specific increases and decreases. We'll talk about staffing, and then we'll go back to the overall budget proposal and the default budget, which the numbers which the chair just read. Let's go right to key budget drivers. So our insurance rate, or the guaranteed maximum rate, we have an increase this year of 6.5%. We're also seeing increases in special education tuition, transportation, and related services due to changing student needs. Technology infrastructure projects are complete, and at this point, we're maintaining a stable equipment replacement program. So we've sort of gotten through the bulk of our significant technology enhancement projects, and we're now just at a steady state. We do have previously deferred facilities projects at both schools. We do have new staff added in the current year. This board has discussed very publicly the school resource officer as well as the social worker. And then budgeted projected enrollments. Hampstead Central School projected enrollment is down 8, the middle school down 2, and Pinkerton Academy down 3, a net change of 13 student decrease. The state retirement rates are set for the next 2 years. I also wanted to bring that up. We've talked about this before. The New Hampshire retirement system is one of the single biggest drivers of cost for the district, as it is for most municipalities and public entities in the state. This is a situation where we have, and we've talked about it very publicly, where we have seen over the last more than a decade significant downshifting of costs onto the local municipalities from funds that were previously made available by the state. So to put this in perspective, for years 2018 and 19, employer costs for teachers are 17.36% and employees 11.38%. For 2020 and 2021, employer costs will be 17.8% and employee costs at 11.17%. Just to give you some perspective on that, back in 2016, the teachers were at 15.67. So as we go into 2020, that number is 17.8 from 15.67. And again, insurance costs, as you can imagine, are along with salaries, are the most significant budget driver that we have within the district. With regard to special education, that we have students that require different specialized placement, and that impacts our tuitioning costs. So each student is evaluated based on their particular needs, and depending on the shifting needs of the students in special education programs in the district, that can really drive the kinds of services that are provided and therefore drive the costs. Okay, let's get to enrollment. So we have, in recent years, we have shown this slide up, and it gets updated every year. This is the projected enrollments from NSDEC. NSDEC is an independent organization that looks at a number of demographic factors and projects out our enrollments over the coming years. Typically, in the years that are closest to us, as in the next 1, 2, and 3 years, the projections are most accurate, and then they start to deviate or they start to reduce accuracy the further out you go. We've been talking about enrollments here for as long as I've been on the board, and that we are at a roughly steady state. So you heard me say, and I'll go into more detail on the specific enrollments, but you heard me say that the projection for next year is a net decrease of 13. That's less than 1%. This year we were up by less than 1%. So again, we're kind of hovering at that plus or minus 1% enrollment number as we look out over the coming years. This also fits when we talk about the Article 2, where we say the need isn't going away. We're looking out over the coming years and seeing that our enrollment is projected to be pretty steady over that period of time. More specifically, here's the projected enrollment that we use for budgeting. So the central school down 8 with a projected enrollment of 461, the middle school down 2 with a projected enrollment of 380, and Pinkerton Academy down 3 with a projected enrollment of 458. There's an asterisk next to that because that includes 4 students that are ungraded. And as I said before, total district-wide enrollment for school year 2019-2020 is 1,299, a decrease of, right in that 1% range. Okay. Let's talk about the central school budget changes. As I said before, we'll go through each of the different areas of the budget. For the central school budget changes, major increases we're seeing, $3,000 for replacement equipment, $4,300 for science equipment, $2,800 for information access fees, and $5,500 for testing supplies. Major decreases we'll see a $51,700 decrease in science textbooks. I'll take a minute just to educate folks on why that is. We budget new textbooks for our curriculums on a biannual basis so that we're not constantly replacing the textbooks. So science was last year. We're not replacing any textbooks this year, but next year we'll go into the next cycle and we'll replace a different set of textbooks. So we go through, and that way we spread the cost over a long period of time, and that way we're not buying all new textbooks for all subject matter at the same time. We don't want to do that. We want to spread that cost out. So we just happen to be in an off year this year, but that cost will return next year as we buy new textbooks for a different subject. Decrease in new equipment, $4,900. Decrease in telephone costs, $6,000. Decrease in elementary education supplies at $2,000. So just going into a little bit of detail, the replacement equipment increase of $3,000. That has to do with a new kiln. Our kiln in our art department is at the end of life. We've tried to keep it going as long as possible, but the thing needs to be replaced. We have the science equipment. When we talk about the $4,300, that has to do with some additional STEM-related kits. STEM is science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. So STEM kits. The information access fee has to do with site licenses for surveys and instructional programs. Surveys include Education for the Future and Tripod. These are surveys that our students, as well as in some cases parents and staff school-wide, are involved in. And our testing supplies, the $5,580 there, have to do with the upgrade to our DIBBLS program. DIBBLS is the assessment tool that we use to monitor student growth at grades K through 4 at the central school. Those decreases, I already talked about the science textbooks. And then we were able to take out a couple of things. The other big one, or the next largest one after the science textbooks, is that telephone. That was removed from the central school budget due to a change in phone services during the 2018-2019 year. So we upgraded our phone system, and that resulted in us removing this cost line from the central school. I'm going to talk about the middle school budget. Actually, hold on, sorry, let me just go back for 1 second, I apologize. The current budget at the central school, $158,208. The proposed budget, $167,992. We go over to the middle school. So sorry, that's actually backwards. Those numbers should be flipped backwards. The middle school budget changes. So the major increases, so we have $2,000 for science equipment. This is relating to electronic building blocks, which is a supplement for our science curriculum, and that blends print and hands-on for grades 3 through 8 curriculum. $4,500 for student activities. This is an increase in, this is a nice increase it's tied to a nice event. This is tied largely to the Hampstead Middle School annual musical. So we're putting some more money into that. We've seen a pretty dramatic increase in the number of students that are involved in that and the overall interest in the middle school with regard to that. Nurse subs, $2,500. So this is a direct result of an increase, a straightforward increase in the cost of getting nurse substitutes for the district. We're getting them through a private agency that provides certified nurses in the event that our nurse is absent. We also have middle school education equipment, $1,130. That's a portable PA system with a tripod stand that's used for activities inside and outside. It's just a portable PA system. So the major decreases, I've already talked about the science textbooks, but obviously those hit both the middle school and the central school. That's where we see that decrease of $62,539. Language textbooks, we now have online resources as a part of our curriculum software licenses, so we're able to reduce our costs there by a little over $4,000. We eliminated movable bookshelves for the library equipment for this coming budget cycle, and a savings to the district of $16,461. And again, we've already talked about the phone system, the upgrade to the phone system. We reduced that cost by $8,000 at the middle school. So we have a, they're flip-flopped, right?
Well, that's what I'm checking on.
Okay.
So if any correction needs to be made, then I'll let you know.
But central
Okay.
school,
Yes.
number.
Yes. With the central school and the middle school. is
Central school number has to be changed, and the middle school the numbers have to be swapped out.
Yeah, so the proposed is actually the current, and the current is actually the proposed, right?
Yeah, that takes care of middle, but central school,
So apologies on this slide, it's just reversed. So the proposed budget is $167,156 compared to the current budget of $255,913. So this is a decrease in the budget year over year of $88,757. Okay. For the curriculum budget, we have decreases this year. We're in year 2 of implementation of the new K through 8 science program, and because of that, less professional development is needed. For the second year, typically we front load professional development when we roll out a new curriculum, and now that we're in the second year, there is some professional development, but it's less because folks are more used to the curriculum. So we've decreased that by $9,900. The professional development books, it's a decrease of $225. That's a result of fewer funds needed for professional development books for staff and administration. We do have an increase of $750 for curriculum development. That's to increase the August new staff mentoring program from 1 to 2 days and fund for sending staff to conferences. For example, the statewide Universal Design for Learning training to make sure that our staff is current on statewide and national education trends and requirements. The curriculum budget, current budget, $40,475, a proposed budget of $31,100, a decrease of $9,375. Moving on to the technology budget. So the technology budget, major increases, technology repairs, $2,500. That's a reflection of the one-to-one program. As more devices have been rolled out at grade levels, we needed to increase our repair budget because there's more devices physically out in the schools. Information access fee increase of $10,211. That's the increase is to cover the new fiber network and ePortfolio student software. As we have grown in digital devices, we have additional needs. New computer network, $23,250. This is the increase, we're increasing the number of Chromebooks at the third grade level, and that's a reflection of that. Admin phones, $10,000. So what's happened here is we've moved the phone bills to the technology department from the building budget to accommodate the VoIP phone service. So we upgraded our phone service, we consolidated them down, and we moved that line over because it's really a technology function to maintain the VoIP phone system. So it's technically an increase to the technology budget. It's really a moving of the line item into the technology budget. Major decreases, supplies, $3,750. That's printer replacement and coded printing, where because of those things, we anticipate a reduction in the need for printer toner. Replacement network, $152,321 decrease. So that reflects the completion of our IT projects, in particular the Cat6 cabling, switch replacement, and virtual server array projects. So as I said early on in this, we're just now at the completion of major technology projects. So as a result, those are coming out of the budget because they're completed, and we're now focusing on maintaining the existing system. So every handful of years, we have to upgrade our system to maintain current technology. We're not in that phase now because we've just completed major upgrades, and so we're now into maintenance mode. Software decrease, $1,330. This is new software agreements. We've been able to lower our prices, some pricing on some of our licensing. So current budget this year is $353,195. We have a proposed budget of $242,710. That is a net decrease of $110,485 for technology. Special education. Special education budget changes. So major increase, we have professional services increase of $34,598. This is an increased need for specialized services. An example would be teacher of the deaf, teacher of the visually impaired. We also no longer have SERESC discounts. SERESC is a nonprofit educational staffing and resource organization in the state that we get many specialists through. So again, just as a means to educate some of the people that are here or that are watching, when we don't need full-time, 100% on-staff dedicated resources, we typically contract for highly specialized resources for a portion of their time. Could be 1 day a week, could be half a day a week, whatever the need is. And SERESC is one of the major organizations for special education services that we contract with. We've previously gotten a discount. We're no longer a part of that organization, so we no longer are eligible for the discount. Pinkerton tuition, we've seen significant increase in the Pinkerton cost for the resource program. That went up 10.6%. Increased cost for the ACT, that went up 4.38%. So those are Pinkerton special education costs have increased. Private school tuition increase of $172,788. That's increased cost for private special education placements and an increased number of students. These are students that are not placed within our district, but are placed at out-of-district private institutions. Information access fees, increased need for access online programs, ACE, Broadmaker, RazKids, for example. These are also online subscriptions for scoring specific tests. That's an increase of $2,829. Specialized transportation increase of $11,612. That's increased rate and variable factors. For example, shared ride versus individual ride. So in cases where our special education students can share a ride, we try to do that to the extent possible. But depending on where they're going, where they're getting services, that may not always be possible. So this year we anticipate an increase of $11,612 for those services. Major decreases. Decrease in residential cost of $194,660. That's a direct result of reduced student need. New equipment reduction of $2,080. That's a reduced need for new equipment, again, based on student needs. SERESC decrease of $3,347. That's district membership fees. So as I said before, we're not a member of the organization anymore. Current budget, special education budget, $2,998,091. The proposed is $3,079,731, change of $81,640. Okay, I'll correct that.
So
I'll come back to that then.
Is it legible?
I think so. I'll come back to that at the end. We'll go to facilities. For the facilities budget, the major increase, professional services of $29,999. This is the existing condition survey of the Hampstead Middle School mechanical, electrical, plumbing, MEP, and future planning for infrastructure replacements. So earlier this year, if you watch the school board meetings, you know that there were some questions about the air quality at the middle school. In particular, there were some concerns about mildew and mold, and so we had some things taken care of to the extent that we could take care of them, and made sure that the building was safe for occupancy, which it is. However, that did expose that there is a longer-term need to replace equipment at the middle school, typically specifically our HVAC type equipment, so we're starting to invest in that. This is going to be a multi-year project. We have spread this cost out over a couple of years to deal with the HVAC here. So this cost here, this $29,999, you're going to see additional costs in future years that are associated with the HVAC system here at the middle school. Contracted services repairs increase of $14,700. This is aging infrastructure. We have to contract out some services to licensed tradesmen to do work on some of our systems. Security and SRO, that we've put this in the facilities budget, $74,898. The board has discussed this publicly on a number of occasions, but to reiterate for those that are not familiar, the board did determine that we would get, and we coordinated this with the town because the hiring is done through the town, but the board did this year add a school resource officer, so we do have a school resource officer here in the school district. Site improvements, $25,000. This is for parking lot repairs at the Hampstead Middle School. This is minimal level repairs. Again, if you watch our meetings, we had discussed initially approximately $500,000 for parking lot repaving and driveway repaving here at the middle school. We have the original driveway and original lot here at the middle school, but it's been resurfaced a number of times. And Mr. Geary can speak better to this if there are additional questions, but we are at the point where we can't do that anymore. It's layer on top of a layer on top of a layer, and we're at a point where we can't do that anymore. So what really needs to happen is we need to tear it up and we need to put down a brand new driveway and parking lot. The board made the decision to defer that, so you're not seeing that $500,000 cost. We took that out of this budget, knowing that the best we could do was some minimal patchwork jobs in areas where the driveway is quite literally falling apart, just to try to keep it together. And that was done in large part because we were once again asking for the Article 2 support and the bond support, and we felt like asking for that and asking for an additional $500,000 to redo the paving here at the middle school was pretty significant. Contracted services increase, $4,750. This is an increase in preventative maintenance and cleaning for the HVAC system. Again, as I said before, long-term, we know we need to replace it. Short-term, based on what we saw happen this year, we know that we need to put some more into cleaning it and doing our best to maintain it so that we don't have additional issues. We are seeing some decreases in electricity, $15,000. We were able to secure a lower rate for electrical costs than we were in previous years, so that's going to save us $15,000, we anticipate. New equipment decrease of $4,200. We were able to make some larger purchases in the existing budget, and as a result, we're not going to need quite as much new equipment for facilities maintenance. Replacement equipment decrease of $3,000. Again, we had some replacement of custodial cleaning equipment in the existing budget, and so we're able to take some of that out in next year's budget. Building improvement decrease of $54,000. This is a different project scope. HCS's main focus is on the bond approval, as we've talked about here, and to fund the renovation and repair to extend the useful life. The middle school focus will be on improving facilities using a phased approach, and that's again where we're seeing the study of the existing mechanical, electrical, plumbing infrastructure will impact future years in this phased approach. So, and again, Mr. Geary can, if there are additional questions about that, but we've talked repeatedly about this at the board meetings, and we've talked about trying to spread out some of this maintenance and some of these costs over a number of years, even though, again, we know that we have some things that we're deferring and that aren't going to go away. Staffing. We go through the staffing budget changes. Staffing levels generally remaining unchanged with the exception of the school resource officer and the social worker. We may do reassignments based on final enrollment. That typically happens towards the end of the school year as we get really the final number, what we consider to be about the final numbers for the upcoming school year. One of the things that happens as that we see year over year, we have what we call, a balloon or a bubble class, where sometimes we might have a particular grade level that's much larger than the grade level in front of it or behind it, and we may have to flex staffing. We may have to increase the number of teachers in one grade level and decrease in a different grade level. So there's always shifting around. There's also shifting around of support staff and other staff in the districts, and that's just based on the needs of the district. We do have a 3% increase budgeted for non-union staff, and all union staff costs are based on the collective bargaining agreements that the town voted on and approved. We have 3 union contracts in our district. All 3 union contracts were approved by the voters of Hampstead, and so their increases are contractually obligated, and those were previously approved, and those are budgeted as appropriate. Salary changes, $388,813 in this budget. That's a 4.1% increase. Benefit changes, $305,088. That's a 5.84% increase. As I said earlier, because I showed it on the facilities slide, this staffing budget does not include the SRO. We have that in the facilities section. Just for last year's slide, just for a reference, there's a significant salary increase in this year's budget as opposed to last year's. The benefits increase on a percentage basis pretty consistent with last year's benefit increase and what we've been seeing. And if you were to look at the district staffing, and when we look at it on an FTE basis, the full-time equivalent basis. Current staffing, 194.6. Projected staffing for 2019-2020 is 190.9. So we do have a slight decrease in projected district staffing going into the next year. That's going to come, and the staffing savings that we'll realize typically comes as a result of 2 things. Staff attrition, typically retirements, because we usually get people that stay here for their whole career or most of their career. So it typically comes through attrition, and the other area that it comes through is unfilled positions where the need may no longer exist, and so the board may eliminate the position altogether if the need just isn't there. Here's the overall budget proposal. Current budget, $26,860,996. A proposed budget of $27,801,104. A difference of $940,107. This represents a 3.5% increase year over year. As we have that, and I'm going to show some budget trends here. I'm going to show a couple of other things too, just so people have a perspective on some of these things. The majority of our budget is non-discretionary in that salaries, as I mentioned before, salaries are contractually obligated. Those are part of the union contracts that were previously negotiated and approved by the town. Same thing with benefits. Benefits are part of those negotiations, so benefits are put in there. Another major portion of our budget is tuition. Tuition for Pinkerton Academy being one of the primary drivers. And I just can't remember it. Jeff, what was the tuition at Pinkerton up this year?
Their overall budget was only up about, was under 2%, but our students, it was up 5%.
The Pinkerton tuition is up 5%. Okay. Yeah, so.
I thought it was 6%.
Yeah, I thought it was 6%.
It's
Their tuition cost.
well.
We'll get that
average
number.
out.
And the reason why it's significant is the Pinkerton tuition cost increase this year over year, was far greater than our district increase. In other words, in order to compensate for the significant increase in Pinkerton tuition, we offset that by cutting some other areas within our district budget. That way we could keep our overall budget lower than the Pinkerton increase. We'll double check that. But, as you can see, tuition is a significant portion of our budget. I also, generally speaking, also we present our annual trends, the year-over-year increase or decrease, so that you have some perspective. So this goes back 10 years to the 2009-2010 budget, and you can see the annual budget increases, decreases. And we've typically stayed in that, there was a year where the overall budget decreased, but we've typically stayed in the 2 to 3.5% range for our budget year over year. And I think that's significant because some people in town, I know, speak with other members of the board, and they have that question sometimes when they see their tax bill, and their tax bill goes up at a different rate. And so we try to put out, for instance, again, this year, we try to put out 3.5% as the school district. So what you see in your individual tax bill may be variable. All we can tell you is what we're doing on the school district side.
So I have in my notes for Pinkerton.
Yep.
That, I have 5% jotted down on my chicken scratch, but 10.39% special ed.
Yeah, so it's 5.9% for our regular education population, and
There you
up to over 10% for certain of our special education programs.
Yeah, I think it averaged out around 7 with the two added. You don't just add them together and divide by
Right.
2, but averaged out, the cost went up about 7%.
Right, yeah. So thank you for that, because, again, I remember we talked about this, and we said we wanted to make sure that the public was aware of this, that the Pinkerton tuition cost did go up significant. And we're not laying their feet, they're operating the school, that's what it went up. All I'm saying is that we offset that increase, as opposed to having an overall district increase of 7%. We offset that by cutting in other areas to pay for the tuition increase that we're seeing for our students at Pinkerton. Went past it. And then the default budget, should the proposed budget be defeated, the default budget, $27,831,629. So that's a difference of $30,525. So I know that's a lot of data, but we try to present as much data as we can with regard to the budget. Oh, and I apologize.
Let's go back to central school.
Yep, let me go back to the central school. So the central school, if I'm reading this right, central school, current budget, Kathleen, can you help me out? Will you read this? Help me, yeah.
All right. So the current budget on this is $208,184, and the proposed budget is $167,992, and that's a $40,192 decrease.
Okay, so the decrease is accurate. The central school is down $40,000. Okay,
And middle school,
The middle school flipped.
just transposed.
yep,
And we'll
Okay.
have those fixed for deliberative.
All right, Mr. Cipriano, thank you very much for that budget presentation. Right now, any question, open the floor to questions or comments from the public on the budget. Mr. Guthrie.
Joe Guthrie, 15 Madison Drive. I don't know why I get stuck standing up first. Anyway, I just have really one question. It's a different format that you have, the expense budget, the sheet that you sent us, or you provided for us. I'm just talking about the professional services. I know it goes across a lot of areas. The account numbers is 320 to 340, so it's all throughout the budget. But there is a significant increase of 96,500 and change on a budget that is 352 proposed. Because can anybody tell me, is that any one particular area, or is it just something that's across so many accounts? It just seemed to be an increase. I don't know if anybody can tell me whether or not that's one, two items that jumped up, or is it just a estimate of increases across the board?
Can you actually come up and just show me where you're looking?
What account was it?
Which, I don't know which one he is looking at. Oh, this one?
yeah, it's on the front page.
Oh, on the front page?
A mess.
Oh, yep, and he's looking at that, too.
I mean,
Like I said, the accounts
Yeah, it's the same number. It's right there.
This one?
Professional service.
Yeah,
Professional
a
services,
lot of those,
okay.
I just want everyone to catch up, Joe. A lot of those are in relation to services that we provide or have to obtain outside of the district for special education, therapies, and things of that nature. Special ed, yep.
It's in the special ed area?
That's correct. And we also have 30,000, which I believe Ms. Jason spoke about with regard to an existing conditions survey for the HVAC system at this school. So that's something we haven't used before. So if you look at your,
So I say it's over a number of items.
it is a
Yeah,
number of functions.
But no, so it is over, it's not one significant vendor or anything like that. It's
No,
kind of across the board. Like I said, there's so many, I don't know why we do 320 to 340. Is there a reason in all the others, the account numbers are separated?
Exactly. Well, these are typically either outside services or other professional
Potluck?
services. They go together, yeah. So if you look on the next couple of pages, you'll see some of those differences under the 1200 series of accounts.
Yeah,
And you'll see about 40,000 there. And then under the 2600 series of accounts, you'll see, which is just a couple pages further on, 2620, 330, you'll see some additional funding there, which we'd used in the previous year. We didn't budget anything in there, in that.
I think my
Account
real
last year.
question is, why do we put them
Oh.
as we do and not show separate accounts? But I guess that's just a matter of form, that you got
Yeah.
a number of accounts together.
Joe, there's professional services are distributed across, like, different parts of the district can require professional services. So to Jeff's point, about a third of the number that you brought up, about a third of that is for the facilities, and it has to do with the HVAC study and design
Okay.
of a
Okay.
new HVAC system.
All right.
So like, but that's purely facilities professional services that they need, and then the central school may require some professional services, special ed may require, so it's not the same, but it's just professional services being
It just
distributed
popped
across.
out at me, and just a question of procedure more than anything else. Thank you.
So it's three separate accounts, just so you know. It's 320, which is professional education services, 330, which is other professional services, and 340, which is technical services.
As an aside, how many children do we have in special ed, if you can? How many in-house and how many out? Do we know? The number of
Or
how
Mrs.
many
Gallagher.
in-house
If
and how
she
many
happens to know.
And Ms. Gallagher?
tuitioned out?
Do you have that information? Yes, please.
We can tell them numbers, yeah.
Right here.
Yeah. Right. You knew what, you had a reason to show up tonight, right?
So the number, fluctuates, I'm going to say, pretty much every few weeks, but I'll give you the number that I most recently looked at, which is like 235 students. Out of those students, 14 are currently in out-of-district placements, specialized programs.
All the rest are in-house?
Correct.
Wow, good job. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Guthrie. Any other comments or questions about the budget? No? All right, seeing none. I'm going to close this portion of the public hearing on the budget, which will bring us back to the regular session, which we began at 7 o'clock. Additional warrant articles. I'll read Article 4, the capital reserve. Shall the voters of the Hampstead School District raise and appropriate up to $125,000 to be placed in the school renovation, reconstruction, and capital improvement capital reserve fund established in 2006, with such amounts to be transferred from the June 30th, 2019 unreserved fund balance, surplus, in excess of $150,000. Majority vote is required. Note, the first $150,000 of surplus will be returned to the taxpayers. The next $125,000 of the surplus will be placed in the capital reserve fund. Any additional surplus will be returned to the taxpayers. The funds from this article come from the 2018-19 school budget surplus, not from additional taxes. Article 5 is to accept reports. Shall the Hampstead School District accept reports of agents, auditors, and committees as written in the 2018 annual report? Majority vote is required. Then we make note that we will have our deliberative session starting at 7:00 PM, Tuesday, February 5th, 2019, right here in the Hampstead Middle School. Special board meeting now to follow. The board's going to have its meeting to consider actions based on the public hearing regarding the budget and each of the articles. So now I call for a motion to adjourn the public hearing.
So moved.
I'll second.
All in favor? The public hearing is adjourned. Thank you. We'll take a short recess, intermission, before we begin our special meeting. Thank you, everyone.